Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Porch Talk. This is episode 17. This episode is brought to you by Wyatt pole holders. If you have fishing poles that you would like to display safely on the wall or just need a way to get them off the floor, Wyatt pole holders has what you need. Sold on Etsy, has a nice selection of fishing racks to fit your needs. Pine, oak, and poplar are just some of the wood used to craft these beautiful racks. Engravings are also available upon request.
You live in Southwest Virginia, Southern West Virginia, or Eastern Kentucky, and find yourself looking for equipment rental, give Cantrell Holdings Equipment Rentals a call at 276-596-3078. They have excavators, backhoes, loaders, and jackhammers available. They have equipment for any job, big or small. Be sure to give their Facebook page a like and follow to learn more about their equipment rental options, including their operator services.
Guys, we're very excited to have on a very special player in our area. He's running back from Honaker High School, Aidan Lowe. Aidan has, man, if you haven't watched him, you need to check him out. Coach Chill describes him as Weapon X. I think Reggie Bush was also a name that was brought out there. He's a do-it-all kid out there on the field, offense, defense. I think he kick returns, punt returns. You're going to see him all over the field. We're going to go through Aidan's life today and just when he started loving the sport, maybe some stuff through Little League, and we're going to get into this high school stuff too because there's plenty to cover there. So welcome on, Aidan. Aidan, we're just going to jump right into it because I know that.
Well, I didn't start football until I was about 7 years old, and that's different from most of the kids my age because they started when they was about 4 years old. So I started a little later than a lot of my friends did, and I guess it really made me fall in love with it is my first year I played with the travel team and went to Knoxville.
I don't think it's people don't talk about quite as much like the traveling basketball around here, it seems like. But everybody that I've spoke to that's engaged in that, it's really benefited them.
It definitely it was awesome because, I mean, you was playing such good competition and you went up there and just a bunch of Honaker boys and a couple from other teams around here. We all played.
That's the biggest upside, especially at a young age, is just the competition you get to see. And it makes you better, makes you hungrier, knowing what you have to do, the work you have to put in. I guess as you get older, it helps more for recruiting, but at a young age, especially when you're a good team locally, at that age, you might not get tested as much. So that seems to be the common thing for travel teams at young ages is the competition they get is the biggest thing.
Oh yeah, it's well, I did that my first year, and they didn't do it as much after, but like I said, I really felt like it made me better. I played a lot of travel back.
I know when I played Little League, it was still we played Honaker and Grundy. At that time, it was a Grundy. I think now it's kind of mixed together. But just some memories from Little League and even travel ball, you can kind of put it all together. Some of my, I think, fondest memories in football was in Little League. You didn't have the pressure. You didn't have all the weight that comes with I mean, there's a lot of great things with varsity football, but there's added pressure. So just some memories from Little League. What do you remember from it?
I remember the very first touchdown I scored, especially, and it was my first year I played, and we was in a playoff game. I hadn't touched the ball like much all year, and then we was in the playoff game. We was losing, so my coach gave me the ball, and I ran a 70-yard touchdown, first touchdown. It just there's no feeling like it. I mean, and I was so excited to even get the ball.
JV and varsity. How big of a change was that for you at Honaker?
It was a lot different because my JV years I played quarterback. It was a lot different because, I mean, you're getting older, people are getting bigger. I mean, the competition's changing from the teams you used to play to new teams now. And my first year JV, it was a rough year, but I mean, I learned a
Oh,
lot
that's
from
what's
that
up. No,
year.
I'm sorry.
Who coached you in JV?
Steve O'Neill did. I don't know if y'all know who that is, but he coached me in JV, and we played like Grundy and Central. We played Ridgeview. We played
Yeah.
quite a few different new teams. And
How much? Because I know, like right now, you're definitely the do-it-all guy on the field. You're all over the place. So going into varsity, did you get some playing time right away?
As a freshman, I started out more on special teams, and I had Coach Hubbard for my first 2 years, but I started out more on special teams as a freshman. Then about 3 games into the year, I kind of moved into a starting spot on defense and offense. And it was back then, it was more like power eye and stuff, so I played a swing back.
Coach Hubbard, I don't know yet if they got a Hall of Fame down here, but I'm sure he's in it or will be. So, local legend. What did you think about Coach Hubbard? Because we haven't really got a chance to ask you guys, and we have this unique opportunity that, you're kind of the class that got some of him, and, now with Taylor.
Well, Coach Hubbard was a good coach too, and I mean, he taught you. He had so much knowledge of the game because he'd been in it for so long, and just learning from him that changed me and turned me into the player I am now too. It was a smooth transition because Coach Tillerman just made us all feel really comfortable about it. I mean, he did a real good job of talking to the team and helping us with the install of the plays and stuff. It wasn't like he was just rushing all these plays upon us. It was week by week, installing new plays every single week, and that's how coach should be.
Something I had wrote down I wanted to ask you about this week is even the assistant coaches. We had Coach Wicks on here. What do you guys think about Coach Wicks and some of your other assistant coaches?
Coach Wicks and our assistant coaches, they're awesome. They help bring the energy every day in practice. I mean, you got to have some energy if you're going to make it this deep into the playoffs. I mean, every
Bristol paper, they'd mentioned, I can't remember if you had mentioned it or if a coach had mentioned it, but I guess the lack of, I won't say lack of touches, but your workload that you would have had, I think maybe you had before under Coach Hubbard and going into this year, not getting the carries that your average running back at a local high school is get, I guess. But the energy part, do you feel better as far as being able to go both ways? Because like Cameron said, you're on the field all the time. Is that can you tell that that's helped? Maybe not having as many carries, but you can have a little more energy on defense.
Oh, I love going both ways, and I mean, I love touching the ball anytime I can touch the ball and running it too. But I feel like it has helped me a little bit, keeping energy on both sides.
Your defense is very opportunistic. You might not be like shutting teams out, but it's like one of those. You're one of those teams that you can't make a mistake because, oops, it's a pick six or it's a fumble recovery. Or, I mean, you're very y'all take advantage of all the opportunities you can get on that. And he's Jay Moore just touched on it a little bit with the offense, the way that you all do plays and stuff now. And we've talked to Parker and Tyler on this as well. But the air raid, just to touch on it a little bit. What's your thought process on it, or what do you feel about it? Because I know that that's not just an offense for you guys; it's against the culture. I mean, it's y'all's thing. So, what do you think about the air raid?
I'm gonna say kind of how Tyler said. I love to throw the ball, but I love to run the football too. I mean, that's just. I love when you can take advantage of what another team gives you. I mean, we can do that when we mix it up.
I think that's when you're at your best. I mean, y'all definitely can put up points throwing the ball, but when you mix it up, and especially in some of these second halves, you guys are a totally different team. It almost makes you impossible to stop in some ways.
I thought Saturday was y'all's best game that I've seen as far as your mixture between your pass and run, and like obviously you've done both well all year, but from the games I'd seen y'all play Saturday, I thought was the perfect combination of staying on, being balanced on both sides, and also at the same time, I thought it was probably the best defensive game I've seen y'all play all year, and you were a big part of that. I don't know how many tackles you had, but it seemed like if you needed to stop there at the right time, tackle for loss, it seemed like you were either involved or solo. So I just want to give you a shout out on the defensive side. I thought you played great Saturday.
But thank you. I appreciate that. And on the offense part again, just keeping a team on your toe, keeping the other team on their toe of our offense.
I think we need to give him a shout out. Didn't you have a 7-touchdown game last year?
8 touchdowns.
8-touchdown game last year.
Yeah.
First of all, that's unheard of. I think. That's crazy. I completely forgot about that.
I did.
I wanted to ask you about that. What's that feel like? Because I have no idea what that would. Like, is that kind of just the zone thing? Do you realize, in the game, how at the time it's happening, or just something you just afterward you're like, oh wow, that just happened?
Well, at that point in that game, I was super focused. I was in the zone to try. We really wanted to beat PH last year because I'd never beat him in my career. Like, I'd never beat him. So we was really trying to beat Patrick Henry. And after the game, everyone was like, I think you had 8 touchdowns. I was like, ain't no way. And then I went on to figure out.
It wasn't a slouch team either. I mean, Patrick Henry is known for good defense.
They went to the region championship last year, so
I'm glad you remember, because that's definitely something we couldn't have missed. And for those you don't know, we talked before we got on here, and we said, if there was fancy football around here, Aidan would definitely be everybody's top pick. Games like that, 8 touchdowns, and even now, catching the ball, running the ball, returning the ball, you make an impact wherever you can. I think that they touched on it a little bit on your interview with the news channel. You broke your foot. Was that last year, first round of the playoffs?
It was I broke my ankle, and no, you're good. Everyone does that. They thought it was my knee last year.
It was something on your
they said
on
it was
your
my
leg.
foot.
Well, something I wanted to ask you,
went with
because I know that I'm sure everybody asked you how the rehab went, and working out and stuff like that to get back to that point. And I tore my ACL and stuff, so I know what I think is the hardest thing is mentally getting back there. And so I did want to ask you, as far as the rehab goes, with the physical, with the working out and stuff like that, how you got yourself ready. But I'm very interested in mentally, how you got yourself there to overcome that and get ready for the season.
Well, my family really helped me with that. They kept me motivated, and what I was really trying to do was get back for basketball last year, so I could get back into the swing of things. Physical therapy is tough and all that, but with my family motivate me.
When we've already touched a little bit on the playoff games, and I want to touch on that again, but just looking back on this as a whole, what do you think about looking back on it? I know it's not over with, and we hope it's not over with. We hope you keep going. But looking back over this whole year, kind of taking in perspective that you was undefeated, all the great memories y'all had, just touch on that a little bit.
This will definitely be something that I never forget. I mean, going undefeated, that's something that you can only hope for at the start of the season, and that's a goal that we had. And where we reached it, and we're still in the playoffs. I mean, and business ain't done yet. We still got another game to win Saturday. The season I'll never forget.
And like you said, you got a big one Saturday. I just wanted to ask you, what's something. I know y'all been probably told this by many people in your family and coaches, but I mean it's not let somebody else tell you. I hope y'all realize how rare, especially it seems like basketball. I've known more people that have played in a state tournament game around here, but I mean not many people get the opportunity to go play in a state tournament in football. So if I could just any advice, just try to remember every single thing about it. Bus ride, the practices, everything, man. Just take it all in. But I was going to ask you, if you listen to songs pregame, which I'm assuming most people do, what is your go-to? You can do one or two if you want to pick two, but what are you listening to before a game?
I got two songs. I'm a big Metallica guy before games, so I listen to Master of Puppets before games,
Solid choices.
and then I listen to The Four Horsemen by Metallica.
The community around here, I think it's great. The support. I mean, we went to a few of the games, and y'all's sidelines is always packed. People are standing everywhere, and the crowd is just super loud. So, what do you think about how the community has kind of rallied around you guys during this playoff run?
It's awesome. I mean, you step out on the field and you see the stands packed and the fans are yelling. There ain't no feeling like it. They give you energy, and you see us at those games when we start waving our arms.
We wanted to ask you about recruiting and stuff. What are you looking at so far as recruiting? Have you got to go on any visits? Are you getting any looks?
Yeah, I've been on a couple visits. I've got a couple offers
Awesome.
too. I got an offer from Ferrum and St. Andrews right now, and a place of my main interest. I mean, I'd really like to go to Emory Henry. I mean, my dream school was always Virginia Tech.
Anything like a message you'd want to tell them?
I'll give my all every day, every chance I get, and I won't stop. I won't stop.
Really, I mean, instead of touching on every game, I did want to touch on the first one, and then we'll get on to the matchup coming up. But I really want to touch on the first one for one big reason. The paper had wrote down that y'all had a big moment at halftime where you all were struggling in the first half. The game wasn't quite going the way y'all wanted, and you all had a pretty special moment in the locker room. So I wanted you to talk about that a little bit.
Well, a bunch of the seniors, we went in there and we talked to all the people, like the underclassmen and the juniors, and we talked to them about how much this game meant to us and how much we didn't want this to be our last game. And they kind of brought some energy into it too. So coming out of halftime, we were all pumped up and ready to go.
No, I mean, which y'all been a great second half team all year. Your adjustments and stuff, but I think in that game in particular, you can tell that not y'all had heart in the first half, but it was just like a few notches up in that second half.
Oh, it definitely, you could feel it. You could feel it when he's on the field. You could feel it when he's on the sidelines.
Galax. So they've been here before. I think I don't want to say they're a surprise team, but Grayson County was the one that we kind of looked down the other side, and we kind of thought they would be there, and in which they had a great season as well. Galax took them down, and then George Wythe. I was kind of high on George Wythe. I thought they're playing great. They had beat Grayson County before. Galax took them down. Galax to us has really shown great defense in these last few weeks. So what are some challenges going into this game? And I know you don't want to give away, obviously too much, but just some small stuff going into this game you're looking forward to.
Just being able to run the ball and do the things that we do, short game, long game, everything that we do good. I mean, and on defense, on the defensive side, you really just want to shut down their run and play tough-nosed defense.
I was going to say, I've been trying to be unbiased throughout the, the regular season and playoffs because I really am. I'm just a fan of the region in general. I love football in this region. And so, I mean, I'm not really – I wasn't pulling for anybody necessarily. But, that's over with now. So, I absolutely 100% pulling for you all Saturday. And if anybody from Honaker's listening and has an extra 2X T-shirt, I'm on board. So I'm all aboard the bandwagon now. So
yeah,
but I'll be there Saturday for sure, man. And I'm really looking forward to it. Like I said, I never really made it anywhere in football. We made the playoffs one year when I played, and we weren't very good the other years. But I love. I mean, you get this far, especially, and I've not been to a state semi game in a long time, so I'm really looking forward to seeing y'all. I think it's going to be a great matchup with you all and them. And I think y'all have won 12 in a row at home. thanks to what the paper said. So, I mean, y'all are tough to beat there. And, I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, 12 in a row. We really appreciate the support.
There's a few. I know a few bigger fellas over at
I'll
Honaker
find
that
you a
I
Tiger
could,
T-shirt. I got you.
hook me up. It's gonna have to be a big one. I'm a fat guy, so but I'll wear one for sure.
I actually have one more question, but I do want to ask you one more thing because we touched on it a little bit before we even got on here, and then I do have one last question that we ask everybody. But before we get to that, you surpassed 1,000 yards last week. You had a very impressive game, 160 some yards, 3 touchdowns, and you even had 7 catches, and you was approaching 100 receiving yards on that. But you passed that 1,000-yard mark. So what does that mean to you?
It means a lot to me, but just getting the win meant a lot to me too. I mean, line was setting me up with great blocks, and
that's something I'd want to mention, and we'll probably mention it after this. But I love that the paper's giving some of the guys in y'all's line some credit, because I think in an offense like yours, I mean, you definitely have a lot of stats with you and Peyton and Avery and Parker and all you guys, but the line sometimes gets missed, and so I'm glad the paper's like showcasing some of that. Yeah.
I've always played for my papa. He passed away a couple of years ago, and I always write his name on my wrist tape when I'm playing. I always make sure that I write it on there to help me remember that he's out there with me. And I also play for, y'all know Brody. He came out to the Tiger with us a couple weeks ago. He calls me after every game or the day before games, and we'll usually talk. He's an awesome kid.
So, this is going to conclude our interview. I just want to say thank you, man, for coming on. We've been blessed to have you guys come on every week, and from us, good luck this week. And I know it's going to be a heck of a game. I'm excited.
I'll be there for sure. Yeah. Like I said, I'm on there with y'all now. I'm Honaker and Graham fans from here on out. So yeah, man. So
that's it.
For sure. Just like I said, stay healthy, enjoy it. It's
getting on the H
This is
train.
Rare territory y'all are in. Not a lot of people get a chance to do this, so go get it, man. Wishing you the best of luck.
Nick. Thank you.
All right, thank you guys.
Man, that's awesome. I love having these guys on. It's my favorite part of the whole thing.
I mean, I thought that when we started all this, the interviews with like we have with Coach Chester and Coach Wicks, like the longer interviews, the just episodes of them. I knew that was going to be fun, and I thought I would enjoy that, and I have really enjoyed that. But yeah, my favorite interviewing the players has been my favorite part. Getting to hear their side of things, and I wish I could have remembered the whole question about the music. I wish I could have asked. I just thought about that the other day. I wish I could have asked more people that, but hopefully we'll get a chance to have more people on.
But, we got basketball coming up too, so
But I am moving forward, man. I'm all aboard the Honaker and Graham bandwagons. I'm pulling for both of them.
Hey, if we can get you a Tiger head, man, I'm telling you, I put that on.
I really hope Graham
Yeah.
I feel I haven't got to go to Graham's games because I'm not driving 2 hours when I can drive 20 minutes, to Honaker. But I did watch on my phone last week, Graham, and I really wanted to go watch them in Radford, but again, I can't. I mean, I can't drive that far when I can drive 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So hopefully they'll pull it out, and then hopefully we'll get to watch them both next week.
Yeah. And, I guess we'll get to that game here in a second, but that game really showcases two huge individual stars.
Yeah, two of the best players around, in the state for sure around here. And then, and it's almost kind of like Graham's going to have to, as explosive as they are on offense, it almost feels like they're going to have to do Radford like teams have tried to do Honaker and just put drives together and run the ball and keep them off the field.
Yep. Yeah, I know we'll get into it, but that game could be 30-something to 30-something or 40-something to 40-something, and it wouldn't surprise me one bit.
No, yeah, it could be high. I mean, yeah, it's going to be. Yeah,
Yeah.
Like I said, I'll be watching it on my phone also while I'm over at Honaker. We had a problem last week at Honaker when I was trying to record the reels like that we put up. My phone died right before halftime, and I had to walk down to the vehicle during halftime and charge it so I could just get. And as I was getting ready to leave, I was going to take a picture of them shaking hands and try to get pictures of them with their, both teams with trophies and stuff. It died again, so I didn't get anything after, but luckily I got just enough.
Yeah, heck of a on the spot decision there. Go to the truck at halftime and charge it up. I mean,
it just hit me. I was like, well, I'm just parked right down there, so it's not like I don't need a full charge. I just need enough to get me through the second half.
Yeah, I wish I was there for that. I mean, you did a heck of a job with.
I wish you were
those
too.
reels.
I like watching the game without having to record stuff.
I mean, it's fun. Something I had a problem with when I was there. At first, I had no issues when we were at the PH game, and I was able to put them out quick. But then, I guess as people really started filing in, service got a little bit foggy there, and I was getting them out, but sometimes they wasn't out when they were supposed to on the timeline.
It was a little harder for me on the one end of the field where you walk in, because it was a little more crowded last week than it was against Patrick Henry. So where I try to go back and forth to each end of the field, the one end I had a good clear view. The other end, not so much. There's people. The fence was full all the way around. It's hard to get an angle, but I think people enjoy seeing that stuff. And like I said, anything we can do to shine light on the players and give them props is what we're trying to do. So hopefully we'll be able to do some more of it this weekend.
Yeah, I agree. So,
you want to jump into it?
Yeah, as I was going to say, do you want to recap any last week, or are we just going to jump into
we might as well talk about it a little bit. Honaker 28, Rycove 18. I'll just run through a few real quick little things, and then we can just kind of discuss it. But Honaker's 5th region championship. Again, shout out to Rycove on a great year. Only losses to Honaker on the year. So I mean, as hard as that is for them to swallow, that you're just that step away. There's really no shame at all in that at all. I mean, as far as they've made it, and then losing to a good, that good of a team being your only loss. But they were 18-5 over the last 2 seasons, and I know we've talked about it before, but it's worth talking about again of where they come from a couple years ago, and the absolutely amazing job that coach has done. And a buddy at work mentioned to me too, to not have a program for that year, and then not only to be good, but they must have still been lifting over at Rycove during that year, because they got some big kids.
Oh yeah.
And when I say big, I don't mean like me big. I mean like muscular, in shape big, not fat big. And whatever they're feeding that one kid that's a freshman, he is huge.
Oh, he's big.
I remember him being big when I watched him in Twin Springs, but I was a little bit closer to him Saturday. He is a house.
Yep.
Yeah. And he's only 15 years old.
Yeah, he's going to be getting a lot of. I mean, he's already getting looks, but
he's got offers already.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So, but anyway, let's see. Aidan, like I said, had 158 yards. Aidan Lowe went over 1,000 yards, had 7 catches for 98 yards, 3 touchdowns. Music had 246 yards passing through his 48th touchdown of the season. We'll get back into that in here in a minute. We'll talk about the whole game in general. Let's see. That's kind of all I know. Lane, I think he had like 100 yards passing. I don't know if he went over 100 rushing, or maybe it was vice versa, 100 yards rushing, 97 passing. But overall, Honaker's defense, that's the best. I think that's the best I've seen him play, at least in a while. One of Rycove's scores come on a kick return, so I think Honaker's offense only gave up 2 touchdowns, or Honaker's defense only give up 2 touchdowns. But I think that's the best I've seen them play in a while on both sides. But what I was going to say about music, when they run him, that is like the X factor for them as far as getting them out of some situations, and they're starting to do it a little more, and it's a real problem for defenses.
I think, and I'm not sure they did it intentionally, but I think it's something you kind of want to save. Like, you don't want to overdo it and then obviously get him hurt, which is a tough kid. But you definitely want to play it smart. I mean, you're getting down now to where these last few games, you got to utilize that because it's too big of a weapon.
Yeah, because they're not. I mean, it's obvious he's athletic. So like, I kind of feel like I feel like this has been a thought out. Let's not run him. Let's not call him run plays like kind of like a lot of NFL teams will do until you need a 3rd and short or a 4th and short, then you open the playbook up.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a big factor that you have to account for, and especially on short yardage. He's a big kid too. Like, you don't realize how big he is until you get around him, and he's not skinny at all. Like, he's a pretty good built kid. So I think he's like 6'4" or something probably. So maybe even 6'5".
On defense too.
Yeah, they stuck him in there at the end. And got an interception, man. That was a big one. That was on the drive. Like, that was a big drive. It pretty much sealed it for him. And in the paper, it's even talked about him. And I remember seeing him spike it when he got the flag. But yeah, I mean, you've not seen it as much from. He's one of those, seems to be more of a quieter player throughout the year. But I think, like he said, at that point, I think he's probably realized, at a certain point, you realize what you got ahead of you. And I mean, if you're a region championship, it's a good time to show the emotion. So, but yeah, they had a 10 play, 79-yard drive in the 4th quarter. That was absolutely huge for them. Take it. And they don't do that 10 play drives a lot of times. That was huge. They took up a lot of clock, and that goes back to what I was talking about with him, with Aidan when he was on here. As far as them mixing things up, the run and the pass, short passes, long passes, taking what defense gives you. That's the best I thought they've looked balance wise on offense since probably all year that I remember. But yeah, they look pretty good. I'm not taking anything away from Rykov, obviously, but they have a great defense, which makes them more impressive. They were able to do that against Rykov's defense, but they just look there at times like, I don't want to undersell, because it's not easy what they're doing, but they did it such a good job mixing it up that they made it look easy at times. So, I mean, they're clicking.
Yeah. And I think that's a huge game to have, especially going against that defense before you go against Galax.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll get into that game here in a minute, but I think that the way Galax is playing right now, that might be the toughest defense that Honaker is going to play. I mean, I don't know. Looking forward, might be a little different, but at least on who they played, throughout the season, I would say that Galax's defense is maybe the best, at least the way they're playing right now. But Riot Cove, they're probably the second best.
Yeah.
So
I Galax is definitely battle tested.
Yeah.
In that district they play, and that's a tough district and region.
Yep.
And they seem to be one of those teams that, for whatever reason, is clicking and getting hot at the right time. So that's another tough thing about it. You hate to come up against a team that's playing, starting to hit your stride in late in the year like this. But I just hope they realize, and it's hard when you're in it to take time to enjoy, like I said, every single thing, every practice, every bus ride, everything. At this point in the year, when you're this far into it and you're playing in a state, like, I just hope they all realize, take time to take everything in, and because it's you can kind of, I don't want to say take it for granted, but you can remember the big parts, and looking back, when you look back many years from now, it's going to be the smaller things that you'll want to remember, like sometimes more than others. And so hopefully they can slow down time and take, remember every day that they're, they got here. But I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a good one.
You may not like me asking this question, but I think that I want to know. So I know that you played in, a different sport, but you got to that level in basketball. So going into a game like this, how much, like, always, like, mentally, is it like, do you kind of overanalyze the game, or you trying not to overanalyze the game? You trying to, like you said, it's kind of hard to embrace the moment, even though, it's definitely what you want to do. You want to embrace every little thing. But just kind of like the mental side of it, at least from your perspective when you went through it.
Well, it's a little different because of we had to travel to Richmond for the state semi game. They're at home, so they don't have the travel aspect to look forward to and all that. But as far as practice goes, I mean, I think you try to keep I think Coach Morton did a good job of keeping it routine. We didn't really try to change anything up just because of what was going on. You go over a game film like you would prepare for a different team, but we did the same preparation, shooting drills, same things. The mental aspect of it, you can't help. I mean, you can't help but think about it. Like, there's no people who say they just block it out and don't let it bother them. Like, you cannot let it bother you, but you think about it, and it's just how you game time. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing is if you can once the game starts, if you can put it the nerves or whatever to decide and just focus. That's the most important thing. I think you should be anxious and be excited and be thinking about it. I think that's part of it. I think that's the best part is the whole journey of it and everything about it. Not just the game itself, but everything. The dinners. I'm sure people are feeding them. People were feeding us. Want us to come to their own churches and feed us stuff like that. Just you don't. I hope that's a good thing you need to remember, because little things like that you take for granted, but you look back on it and you're like, well, that was cool. Like, the whole community come out and reach out and try to do things for us. So I think when you get this far, it is important to take in every detail. And again, I don't think you can. A lot of people say you need to, like, maybe I've heard people talk about, like, limit. I don't know what the word would be for it, but like exposure to it. So like you're just focused, almost like locked down and focused. That may work for some people, and it may be good or bad. I don't know. I just think as long as when the game comes is when you need to. As long as you're able to put everything else away by the time when the kickoff, I think the rest of it you need to take it all in and experience as much as you can. I didn't sleep much the night before our state semi game. A lot of it was because we were trying to sleep in Richmond, but yeah, it's just I mean, again, you kind of, when you grow up and you dream of something, how are you supposed to treat it like another game? You know what I mean? You can't. I don't think you can, because that's not another game. It's different. But yeah, the experience is. I wish I could remember more of the small things. That's why I said that, because I hope they remember everything, because there's things I wish I could remember more about. The bus ride there, or the practice or something. But
yeah, I mean, and you mentioned it during the interview. It's a special moment, though. Like, that's something that when you make it that far, you're of a select few that have, and so it is special.
Yeah, and I mean, like Coach Goodman said, I think I don't know. I think he talked about it on Travis Nim's podcast, the Southwest Hoops. But I remember him telling us this: is if it was easier, or whatever. I'm not sure exactly how he said it, but if it was easy to get a ring, everybody'd have one. Because it's getting there is one thing, but winning it is completely different.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a whole lot more teams that can say they got there than there are that actually win it. But yeah, I don't know. It sounds cliche, but it's true. Like, I mean, it's just that's why I think you should. There's nothing. I don't know how to word it, but what I'm trying to get, but it is.
No, I get what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
definitely.
It's a thing where like you probably don't realize it while you're them.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it hit me when I was in high school. You don't really think about it like that, but you really are in a rare territory with being able to get that far. There's a whole lot of people and teams that don't get to do that.
Yeah, and something I think's really cool about it, and I mean, I guess it just depends on where you're from and stuff too. Because I know even with the Grundy teams last year, we knew a lot of those guys, and they've almost become characters in the story. But like when you have a team like this or a team like you guys had, like names like that live on for a while, and it's like almost like as growing up like a storybook you're reading. It's like like characters, and especially when you're like a little kid, and I'm sure, and maybe I'd like to talk to maybe some more of these coaches and stuff about this, but I think that Little League, we mentioned it in almost every podcast with a guest. I think it's very important, and for those kids to look up to some of these guys, like they know, those kids know who Aidan Lowe is, they know who Parker Bandy is, and they're almost, they're heroes to them. And I go back a lot to, I know you have, I don't know how many people on here has watched Friday Night Lights, a TV show, but one of the first episodes, like they're out there with the Little League playing like a little scrimmage against them, and of course, not going hard, but it's just for the kids, they're like, oh, this is the best thing in the world, and the varsity players on the show are talking to the kids, teaching them stuff like that, and I always look at it, even teams around here that may not do it in person like that, but just them playing on the field sets an example.
Yeah.
And one of my, go ahead.
No, go
I
ahead.
was going to say one of my fondest memories about football was after football season was over, and after I had my ACL surgery and stuff, and I was on crutches. I had a little kid came up to me. I can't even remember his name, but he came up to me, and his grandpa came up to me and told me how much he loved watching me play. And every Friday, he pretended like he was me when he was out there playing. And I, by no means was I ever a star or anything that anybody should have even looked at me like that. But it made me feel awesome. So it carries a lot of responsibility. Kids don't realize that, I don't think, until after the fact.
Well, I mean, it's got to be a good feeling because as a kid, you do the same thing.
Yeah.
You imitated somebody, whether it being somebody at at high school or not, but as people you look up to. So for him to do that to you, you know what that means. You know what I mean? Like it's something you want to hear. And the whole Little League thing, man, to getting them out. That's when they see. I think that's building good programs is when the Little League sees the varsity do this, and they have that bar that they know they got to try to strive to get to, and they can be around these players, and they can go to these games, and they can make these memories and see, and they can go back and they can say, well, remember when like growing up, they can be like, I want to be like Parker and Aidan, team went to whatever, or I'm gonna be like Peyton or whatever, and all these guys, all these kids can go up and they can say that. Growing up, that's what they go back to. They're like, I want to be like that team. But when you don't have that, like Twin Valley's football team, like when I grew up, we heard about Garden's state team, and And then even when I was like 5th, 6th grade and stuff, 7th grade, we didn't. I mean, Garden went to the region championship game one of those years. Like we talked about the Jason Dales, and wanting to be those guys. But then, like for you, when you were in little league, you didn't look at anybody at Twin Valley and be like, y'all went to the Ridgelands. Because that's, you know what I mean? Like, younger kids ain't going to be as into it and enjoy it as much if you don't have that success. I think you have to have some success before them to be out,
it definitely
to get
helps.
out. And if you can sustain that success and like you said, and get the little league involved and come down and have moments with them, I think it helps get there. I think that's one of the biggest things from Twin Valley is you don't have that. For a while there, you didn't have that little league connection with. I don't think they had little league for a couple of years.
No, they actually didn't. I mean, it went out, and I know that Mike Fletcher was a big one in contributing to getting that back started.
Yeah.
And it was my 6th grade year, which I played.
Yeah.
I didn't play my 6th grade, I played my 7th grade, but it got back started, I think, my 6th grade year.
Yeah, I don't want to talk bad about anybody, but I've heard some stuff and why they didn't have a little league, and it really drives me crazy because that. I don't want. Let's not get into it here, but
yeah. Well, I mean,
you
on
ruin
a more
program. You just absolutely ruin a program by having the wrong people in charge of the program.
Yeah. Well, on a more positive note, Honaker, like we could be seeing the start of something special at Honaker, not just this year, but something that might sustain for years to come.
Oh yeah.
Because, like you said, when they have success like this, it trickles down and from Little League up, and especially like Coach Wicks talked about it. Them trying to get some just core plays in, even with the younger kids with the air raid. If they really start getting that, that program or that playbook down before they even get up there, man, like it's
yeah.
you start learning how to run mesh and like JV and like maybe 7th grade middle school or something, and you're already perfected it by the time you get to varsity. That's a huge difference maker.
Mm-hmm. And like you said, you take these kids to these games and they see this atmosphere. You don't think especially if Honaker ends up, maybe winning one or at least going, you don't think those 6th, 7th graders and 8th graders are going to look at that and be like, because at that point you're old enough to know what that is, and you're like, oh, they're going to be like, we want that. Yeah. You don't think it's going to inspire them to work a little harder? Like it's absolutely going to inspire them to work a little harder. So success just breeds more success, I think, especially if you have the right people in place.
Yeah. Well, heck, we could have a whole episode talking about, all that. Do you got anything on Honaker and Galax before we go? I know I touched on it a little bit. Do you have anything before we go on and talk about the Graham and Radford game?
No, I just think it'll be I'm interested to see. I don't know anything about Galax other than they obviously have a pretty good defense to shut down defense, some of the offensives they played.
Good running game.
So I'll say it sounds like a lot like Patrick Henry kind of their style. They like to run it and play good defense. So it being at home helps obviously, but it'll be a tough game for both ways for Honaker to establish moving get the ball moving, but also for Galax they might. I know George Witz has got a good offense and stuff up there, but I don't know enough about them to know that they do that there's balanced running and passing as like Honaker is. It should be a good chess match between the two teams. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think they got a heck of a running back, Tucker kid. He had 143 yards last week, and they ran him quite a bit. I think he ran 33 times last week. So, which I think I can't remember the quarterback's name, but we had talked about him before, and I think he's young. He might be a freshman, if not maybe just a little bit older. But I think they got talent even there too. But I think the running game's definitely their bread and butter. So it's like you said, it's kind of like Patrick Henry, and I know that Galax over the years have had excellent lineman play. You know, they do great up there, and something that PH does great, as we talked about it. It's almost like it's weird. It's almost like a this weird choreographed dance when you watch that line start pulling and stuff the way they do whenever they start. And you know, Galax, they've got that same kind of coaching and stuff over there. So I'm interested to see. But you know, I think Honaker definitely has played at least the way Galax plays offense. They've played teams like this before.
Yeah.
Even like I said, as recent as PH. But the Honaker offense versus Galax defense is going to be the matchup to watch.
Yeah. Speaking of running backs, that's a good segue into probably the best running back in the state. I don't know a lot about the rest of the state, but I know what Graham's got, and he's pretty daggone good. He had 336 yards and 4 touchdowns on 26 carries against probably one of the better defenses at Union that you'll see in the state. I would imagine. I don't know, especially at that level. I'm sure there's some other really good defenses, but Union's got a pretty good defense. There was some talk. What was all this about the argument going on before the game amongst maybe fans or something talking about can he run inside the tackles? Did you read the article in the Bristol paper about that?
No, I didn't see that.
I don't know if it was a big thing that happened I don't know. I'm not sure what it was all about, but their first 13 plays were runs to Clements that said, and the paper said they were on ISO plays off tackle. So basically just run right at them. I was listening to this game on the way back from the Honaker game, and they stopped Union on a 3, made a big goal line stand, and they drove. Well, they ended up driving at 97 yards to score. But the first play I think it was the first play that they took it over, he ran 56 yards from the 3. So like,
yeah, he's so good.
Yeah, it's just crazy. I really should have went and watched him one of these weekends, but
I've heard a lot of people say that he's better than Bradshaw.
I mean, I
don't know.
I remember watching Ahmad Bradshaw, but I was kind of younger.
Yeah.
Like, not young, but maybe I wasn't young, but it's been a while, I guess I can say.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't, you know what I mean? I remember him being like, I think he was more physically, from what I remember, like the size of him, like, I just remember him being different.
Yeah.
But Clements, from what I remember, he may be, I don't know about at full speed, he may be faster. I don't know. I'm not a good one to comment on that because I don't remember well enough to know. But yeah, he's. I mean, if you're even talking about it, if somebody's
be in the conversation,
whether it's right or not, if somebody's even comparing the two, it's pretty high praise.
Yeah.
I seen the thing. Graham's won 70 of their last 77 games.
That's insane.
Obviously, defending state champs. But here's something for next year that everybody, I'm sure, in the Mountain 7 and in the Southwest District doesn't want to really hear. But Union only graduates 8 players off a Region championship team. Graham returns. I hope I read this right. Graham returns 9 on offense and defense each. So some of them could be both ways.
Yeah.
But they return 9 starters that either play both ways or some that don't, but 9 for each offense and defense. So they're not. I mean, you're losing a lot of talent, obviously, but you're not. You know what I mean? Like they're going to have a lot back.
Yeah.
Both. Now, obviously, Clements is going to be a harder shoe to fill than your average player, but both teams should be pretty good again next year. But the Graham Radford game, man, is going to be interesting.
Well, we've talked about him before, but we can't get off of this game right here without talking about Landon Clark from Radford.
Yeah.
I did not realize, like, I've watched some of his highlights and stuff, which is just amazing. But listen to his stat line, and the second part of this is what got me. But his passing stats even are amazing. He's committed already to Elon University, which is, that's a pretty good school. Go up and play quarterback for. He's 181 of 296 passing, but he's got 2,910 yards, 34 touchdowns, and just 6 interceptions. This one right here got me. He's got 1,056 rushing yards on 105 carries with 24 touchdowns. And then on defense, he has 8 interceptions. So and Bristol Paper mentioned this, he's caught more interceptions than what he's thrown this year. He is just.
So that's he's pretty on the plus side. What is that stat? Or they plus minus? His plus is pretty good, then I guess.
Oh, definitely. That's a game right there. And if I think I have a family get together to go to Saturday, but if I get the opportunity, I would really like to. I wish I could screencast both games. You can do on YouTube TV and have both of them just stacked on top of each other watching them, because that to have two guys like that on the field at the same time, it doesn't happen very often.
See, now here I got, and it's not like you're telling me something I didn't know, but hearing you say it all, maybe I should drive 2.5 hours instead of 20 minutes.
Yeah, I don't know.
Be a tough decision. I really didn't want to drive that far, but you made you're just hearing you say it makes it sound like maybe I shouldn't suck it up and go and just go to Christiansburg Saturday. But sleep. The sleeping side of me will be in hunting. Hunting wise, I can hunt Saturday morning and go to Honaker, so I'm probably going to do that. But that'd be a good one to be at if you're going to be in Christiansburg Saturday. That'd be a good game to watch.
Definitely will. Well, that kind of, I guess, covers us on the high school. Do you have anything else you want to hit on before we head up into the college part?
Not that I can think of. If I didn't think about it, it must not been. Must not been that important. So,
well, good luck to Graham and Honaker this week.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we're gonna have. I just sent the invite. We're gonna have my brother-in-law coming on, Connor Wallace, and I'll just go ahead and tell you a little bit about him before he gets on. He's gonna get on here and talk about some college football with us.
Hey, let me stop you. Since he's on his way waiting, I'll take his time. I'll go ahead and step off for a second. I'll be right back.
That's fine. I'll go ahead and I'll throw this out there. My brother-in-law, Connor Wallace, incredible football mind. While he was overseas serving in the Marine Corps, he also was able to play in the Japanese football league, professional football league, with the Okinawa Dragons, and I'll clarify that. I'm pretty sure it's Okinawa, but I'm very happy to have him on, and we're in a big week in college football, and I know we're very excited for what's going on in high school, but I think it definitely lines up pretty well with it just being a big week in football all around. We're going to have some huge games. In particular, we got one big one tomorrow night that has huge playoff implications in it. So we're going to try to cover that. And I don't know, we might even touch a little bit on NFL before we get off, because I know personally we got a huge game. Well, the Niners got a huge game this Sunday with the Eagles. I do want to sit here before we have Connor come on, and while J-Moore gets back, I want to sit here and thank everybody for watching, even watching this long into this episode. We had a little thing this week to where Spotify showed, kind of like a year-round wrap-up, and we've only been at this a few months, but it was kind of, I don't know the exact numbers off the top of my head, but it was cool to kind of see the results of that and see how many people have interacted with us, even just on Spotify. And I think Spotify might be one of our low traffic ones compared to YouTube and what we got with Facebook and Twitter. But thank you guys for that. And, I'm sure at the end of the episode, we'll definitely talk more on it as well. But I think going forward, we're going to try to, once we upgrade our setup a little bit, we're going to try to even go live some here and there. I like the opportunity to go back and edit stuff, but we might go live on a few different episodes, especially even on TikTok. I know that's a great avenue to go live on. We have a lot of people that can connect with us on that, and even with Facebook and X. I think we're trying to take a different approach than some radio shows and stuff around here have. Maybe we're ahead of the curve in some ways, at least locally with that. I hope. And so we're going to keep doing this and keep trying to get this content out, giving these players an opportunity to get on and talk, having a little bit of airtime. But something else we're going to continue doing is also having these special guest episodes. And I hope that you guys, if you haven't yet, you definitely need to check out Brady Hess's episode that was on, I think it was last week, right after we did the interview with Tyler Cole. That following Thursday, we did one with Brady. So we've had 4 special guest episodes so far. One with Tommy Krieger, one with Shane Wicks, Greg Tester, and then with Brady. And each one of them we do just like we do with our player interviews. We go through like their whole life when it comes to them playing in their particular sport in their field, and then going on up through middle school, JV, high school, college, and then how they got into coaching or how they even got into their occupation. Because Brady, he's out broadcasting and stuff like that, and writing articles. So something like that we do a lot with our special guest episodes, and even when we start getting in some musicians and stuff, we want to get on there to where they can talk about how they got into music, maybe their career, and we'll continue to do it with even other guys that are interesting and stuff. But now, hey, we'll go ahead and start this college football stuff because we got Connor on. So welcome, Connor.
Howdy.
Hey, we're happy to have you on. I talked a little bit before you got on here and told everybody that you're over making millions in Okinawa playing football. So,
Hey, man, I wish. That'd been nice.
Yeah. Well, we have this awesome opportunity. I told everybody, you look at, I think, the game a lot different than most people do, and especially now how you got that opportunity to play over there. And so I'm really excited to touch on some college football and stuff with you. And I know when it comes to betting the lines and stuff on the games, you're really knowledgeable and stuff like that, giving insight. So I'm ready to get this stuff started.
Yes, sir.
So we'll go ahead. Let me pull this up here. We'll jump into the first one. So big one tomorrow night. We got 5th ranked Oregon versus 3rd ranked Washington, and it's going to be at 8:00 on ABC. This game right now, it's a 10-point line. Oregon right now is favored by 10. Huge playoff implications. I think that whoever wins this, I think, is in the playoffs. So I don't think it shouldn't be in question at all. Rematch of a heck of a game that we had this year. Washington came out and was pretty impressive in their home game. I think a lot of that was due to Oregon's mistakes. They won it there at the end. But I'll bounce it to you first, Connor, and we'll throw it over to Jamar afterwards. But what do you going into this rematch here, who do you think takes it? What some things to look out for?
Well, I'd say it comes down to, honestly, it's a quarterback battle right there. Like honestly, me personally, I'm a Ducks fan, so I'm leaning towards the Ducks here, obviously. But I think it's a Bo Nix versus Penix. I think it's going to be which one's going to refuse to lose that game, like 100%.
2 Heisman contenders. This could be the game for the Heisman.
100%. And that I think it's important to note, like, Washington's wins like in comparison to Oregon's wins on the same teams that they've both played. Like, was it? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Washington had like a real nail biter last week. It was like by a field goal with Washington State, I think.
Yeah, I can't remember. I know that there's a few games, like Arizona State, I think was closed for a while. There's a few different ones they had. Oregon State, I think, was last week, maybe.
Yeah,
I can't remember, but
something like that.
Yeah, they had a few, just like what you're mentioning. And while they've been struggling to close teams out, you got Oregon that's been rolling. They've been playing
blowing
great.
the same teams out of the water. Like that. Basically, got the same schedule out there, and Oregon's just beating like the water out of these teams.
Who, if you was to make a prediction, what do you have in this? You got Oregon?
I know it's going to come down to the wire. Me personally, I know Oregon's the favorite in this one on DraftKings. I looked earlier I think it's like minus 300 on the money line.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think it'll be Oregon by 3. I'll take them 28-25.
Well, probably because what you mentioned already is like the similar opponents. And I know Oregon's looked better, a lot better here lately. But what's the reason for the big spread? Like I know they're favored, but I was very surprised that it was that big. Like I could have seen 7, but even that would have been kind of generous. But 9 and 10, that surprised me.
Yeah,
being that much.
Yeah, I think kind of like what Connor was saying. I think just the way that the two teams have played since that matchup. I mean, I think that's a huge reason for the spread. I mean, that's a lot of points. I think.
I mean, even sometimes, even when teams are obviously better, it's just ranked better. You very rarely do you get. Teams are that closely ranked with that big a point spread. That's. I thought it was a little bit unusual, but
yeah, I think Oregon's minus 10 right now.
Yeah,
like
that's
a 10-point spread.
Yeah. Who do you have, Jamar, in this one?
I think Oregon. I thought I picked Oregon, and I don't know if I picked them last time or not, but I think for whatever reason they're playing better right now, at least on paper and the eye test. I wouldn't count Penix out, obviously. Kind of like Connor said, both those quarterbacks probably playing for a Heisman with the LSU guy. I don't know. It just seems like the obvious choice here is Oregon, but like I can see it being closer than 10. Kind of like the last game. It come down maybe whoever has the ball last, but I'm gonna take Oregon. I think.
Yeah, and I think something that kind of plays into a lot of this is that Oregon is they've only allowed 5 sacks all season, which is crazy, and Washington on the other side ranks 110th in sacks, and so that's something. If you can't get to him, and they can get to a lot of people, and you got a team that's not allowing many sacks as it is, if you can't get to Bo Nix, that could be a bad game. And I think that being at home last time really benefited Washington. They was able to pull it out, and to Washington's credit, they're a very tough and gritty team. And like your prediction, I think Connor was pretty on par that even if Oregon takes it, Washington can still keep it close with Penix the way he can play. That offense is going to have to just go off, and Oregon's defense the way they've been playing, I just don't know. They're going to have turnovers, and that's what helped Washington the first time. But I'm going with you guys. I'm going with Oregon because if you can't get to Bo Nix, I just don't see he's going to make as many mistakes this time. I'll take them, and heck, I'll take them at about 32-24. So our next game, we'll go into the Big 12 championship. So Oklahoma State, 18th ranked, we're playing against 7th ranked Texas at 12 o'clock on ABC. This game, playoff implications. I know that things might shake up a different way with some of the other teams, but if Texas wins, they're right there in it. Like, the debate can be made here soon, whether or not they might be over some other teams or not, as far as when you're trying to split hairs between people. But nevertheless, they got to win to have a shot. They lost their star running back, Jonathan Brooks. He's out for the season, but Quinn Ewers is back. Their defense is still solid. Oklahoma State's a weird team. Like, they've had some very bright moments this year, and their running back was a dark horse for the Heisman there for a minute, and he's still great. So, going over to you, Connor, what do you think so far about this Big 12 matchup we got on Saturday?
Well, I think Quinn Ewers being back from injury, I think last they said he was day to day. I don't know if he's been confirmed back healthy, but I think him being back is 100% a game changer for Texas. That offense for sure. I definitely take Texas for sure. Like I know that Oklahoma State's one of them, top 25 dirty ranked teams that could definitely shake some noise, but I know it may be jumping the gun here, but too, like, if Alabama wins and Texas wins as well,
that's a good question.
That's definitely going to shake some things up in the playoff. Like, I was thinking about that earlier.
Yeah, I talked to a guy at work today. He's a big Bama fan, and we were talking about that because it's an argument to be made for either side because head to head has to mean something, but at the same time, it's like, also, what have you done for me lately? Also, Jonathan Brooks is out for the season. I don't know, man. I mean, we got the whole college football playoff special on this. I mean, we can talk all day about it.
That's like a doomsday situation for analysts.
I'm sure that committee is definitely hoping that it does not play out like that.
Yeah, but I take Texas. I don't think they cover. I don't think they cover by 3 possessions, but I think they do win by 10-14. I'd say like somewhere in the range of 34-24.
This was another one that I thought the spread was kind of big. I mean, that's 2 in a row. Then I would take like you said, not to cover, because I know Texas is, like you said, they're Oklahoma State's ranked, but they're not really, they're getting there late. But that's a lot of points in a conference championship game, and especially if Ewers isn't healthy and not playing, it definitely is too much. But if he's playing, I can see Texas fooling around, getting some trash points late maybe or something to cover. But I wouldn't look for him to cover the spread for sure. But I'll take Texas.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. 15 points I think it's wild to have that in a conference championship game.
Unless it's the Big Ten.
Big 12. Yeah, it's one of those things
unless it's a Big Ten, that spread is probably going to make sense. But
yeah, we'll get to that one too, because that one could be. I mean, that's a real big line on that one. For me, the man we mentioned it before. The matchup though is a running back from Oklahoma State, Ollie Gordon. We talked about it before. He's a dark horse for the Heisman. He's leading the whole country with 1580 as far as the rushing guards this year. And Texas possesses 2 of the toughest interior defenders in college football. I mean, the whole defense is good, but they got the number 1 and 2 interior defenders with Sweat and Byron Murphy. So it's going to be strength versus strength. That game, I'm not sure what we'll see. The over-under is, I think, 55. It could be a strong defensive game, but I'm going to give it to Texas. But I think probably looking at about 24-17 is what I'm going a little bit lower. But at 15 line, it's hard for me. So maybe the biggest game of the weekend. Well, it's not maybe. It is the biggest game of the weekend. 4:00 on CBS. Number 1 ranked Georgia Bulldogs defending back-to-back champions in the SEC championship against 8th ranked Alabama. Now these are off of per Bleacher Report as far as the rankings go. I'm not sure if those are college football playoff rankings, but because I think Alabama, they might be up there further. I'm not sure, but Alabama's played great as of late, and that's a you're in. I mean, that's that type of game. Right now, it's 5.5 for Georgia on the line, over under 54. Who do you got in this one, Connor?
They got that one close on the money line too, and they only got it a 1 possession spread too, and I think that's spot on for this game. Yes. Like Alabama, Georgia has always been, and it's SEC championship game. It's going to be a one possession game.
It's going to be close.
It's going to be close, yeah, and I think that's honestly a good one to probably throw you down like $10 or so on Alabama just for the payout being there. I mean, it's like plus 170 there, and you throw down the spread too. You throw on total points. I think total points is like 54.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, and I mean I think it could get over 54.
Yeah, I do too.
Score
100%. Yeah, it's going to come down to that fourth quarter, that last drive, 100%. But I'm taking Alabama in this one. Like I'll take the under on this one, just because I think Georgia's schedule this year didn't really reflect as much of competition, so to speak, as a lot of the top 5 teams this year. I got probably count on 2 or 3 fingers how many top 25 they've played this year and actually blew out of the water, to be the number 1 team. And I don't know, I'll just take Alabama in this one. It's just my gut feeling here. I'm gonna take Alabama, and it's gonna be 42-35.
Way over. What you got, J-Moore?
I think we won't be lucky enough, and just because the NCAA will do some kind of voodoo magic, and just so they don't have to make a decision, that it was too perfect to work out for the fans that Alabama would win.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel I can't take them just because of that, because it would be what everybody wants. So that's what's not going to happen. So, but because I would love it just for no other reason, just to cause all the chaos for the committee, and just to sit back and watch what they would have to do to go through to, pick a Final Four. But even with that said, I'm like you. I think it'll be close. I think it's just one of those games where you kind of throw the regular season out the window, and just can't really. I don't know. You can't really put into words how big. I mean, this is kind of like a playoff before a playoff every year. The winner of this game, I mean, it's kind of a lock to get in, and most times this is kind of a little different, I guess, with Alabama being a little farther down than normal. But I don't know. At some point, Georgia's going to mess around and get beat. Like we talked about their schedule earlier in the year on the podcast.
Yeah.
It's not great, so they're probably not as tested as what maybe they need to be. But I mean, for one game though, I think they do enough to win. But I could see it being a field goal to win it. Last drive maybe, or something like that, or getting a pick late, some kind of turnover late in the game to win it. I don't know. But yeah, I'm gonna take Georgia, but I think I'd rather see Alabama win.
Mm-hmm.
And just to watch Rusty's reaction to what would happen if Georgia went from being back to back to whatever it's going to be to possibly falling out. Because I'd imagine if Georgia loses with their resume they've had all year, I don't see, unless there's some other upset somehow or another, I don't see how they can stay in. I don't think you can go off of last year. I don't say you can say they've won. It should be all about this year, and their resume this year. They don't have that many impressive compared to some of their teams. I don't think they stay in if they lose.
No, and I mean Missouri, that's a good win.
They got a couple.
That one's up there, but
I mean as far as
look at some of the other ones, how close they've been. Even Georgia Tech last week was close, and the Tennessee win, I don't think, and I'm if there's anybody that's a big fan of Tennessee on here that's listening, I'm sorry, but I don't think they're a top 25 team.
Don't apologize.
I really
to
don't.
Tennessee fans.
They're
It's
I
our
think
show.
they're really, they're benefiting Georgia a lot in that regard. That's a ranked win that they have on the resume, but I don't think that they've been playing like a top 25 team.
I think their biggest win, I think, was Ole Miss when Ole Miss was ranked pretty high.
Yeah.
I think Ole Miss is like top 10 right now, and they beat Ole Miss by like 45, something like that.
Yeah, they killed them. Yeah, and that's when Ole Miss just had that win, I think, over LSU, I believe.
See it?
Yeah, so that was big. Two things really to watch in this game is Georgia's O-line. They rank 11th in the country as far as negative plays allowed, tackles for loss plays allowed. So they're not allowing a lot of plays as far as like getting behind the sticks and you're getting put back and 2nd and 11, or 2nd and 15 or whatever. They're keeping it positive for the most part. I think you can kind of tell that. They're not putting themselves in bad situations on third downs and such. And then they were 6th in the country when it comes to sacks allowed. So they're not letting them get to Carson Beck that much. And but reverse side of this, Alabama gave up a lot of yards last week against Auburn, and so did Georgia when they played them. And it's crazy because Auburn does not pass the ball well, but they can run. And Auburn had a great running game against both of them. But really, the things are Milroe. How Milroe goes for Alabama, that's their offense. And then is Brock Bowers going to play? He didn't play last week. So that might be, if he don't play, that could be the deciding factor in the game, which I imagine if he's anywhere on the fence of playing, he's probably going to play. But give me Georgia, but I agree with you, Connor. I think it's going to be over. It's going to be a high-scoring game, I think. I'm probably going to go 36-34, Georgia. So I feel like I'm saying this every time, but another huge game as far as the playoff goes. We got 14th ranked Louisville. Be playing at 8 o'clock on ABC Saturday against 4th ranked Florida State Seminoles. So right now it's pretty much about even on the money line. I think the spread's like 1.5 for Florida State, but the over/under is 47.5. So huge game in the ACC championship. Where do you see this coming down to, Connor?
I think Florida State definitely covers that game. Like in my opinion, like Florida State playing against Louisville here, like at a 1.5 spread, I take Louisville winning outright, or not Louisville. Florida State winning outright in this one.
Yeah,
definitely. Like the way Florida State, in my opinion, Florida State's probably one of the weaker teams in the top 5, though. Like,
yeah, without Travis.
Yeah, and especially right now after the quarterback did get hurt. But I just see Florida. I don't know. I feel like it's one of those games. It's kind of like, that Texas game playing against Oklahoma State. I feel like Florida State's just too good for Louisville right now, but Louisville can't be overlooked. It depends on how Florida State comes out and opens up the game.
Yeah.
Like, I remember when Florida State played against Virginia Tech early in the season, and they allowed like 10 yards in the first half. Like that's it. And but they only scored 2 more times in the second half against them. And Tech almost came back and closed up the spread on that game. So I'll take Florida State by. I'll take them by 10. I think they definitely win by 10. We'll just go like 32-24, something like that. Not exactly 10. We'll say 8.
Yeah. Where you got on this one, Jamar?
Again, this is kind of one of those deals where I feel like the committee is going to, in a perfect world for them, what they really want is Florida State to lose here, so they'd have another spot to put somebody in the Final Four, so they don't have a hard decision to make. And it wouldn't be the worst thing as far as for fans go, because I agree with Connor without the quarterback. I don't see how they match up well with any other in the playoffs. I think they're a really good team still. I think they have a really good defense still. They can run the ball, but if you look against the Michigan or against the Georgia or an Oregon or whoever else makes it, I feel like they'd struggle without their quarterback. But again, I can see Louisville causing some real problems, and I think it'll be closer than probably. What was the spread
1.5
on this one?
Yeah.
Oh well, it won't be closer than that then. I think Florida State pulls it out somehow. I wouldn't be surprised if Louisville won, but I think it'll be a close game. I think Florida State's defense and run game still is a little too much for Louisville to beat them, but I can see it being a real close game within under 7 for sure.
Yeah. Roadmaker, I hope I'm saying his name right, the quarterback for Florida State that's coming in, he actually played against Louisville last year. Travis was out last year in the season opener, came in and played. Roadmaker played against Louisville last year in a game that they ended up winning against Louisville. But now the Cardinals have a completely different coaching staff this year, and the way I don't know how many transfers they got in, stuff like that, but it's hard now in college football to judge a team off of last year because things change so drastically now. The Cardinals, though, they've not had much success against top 5 teams. Jeff Brom is like kind of breaking the mold as a coach. He's got them in their first ever ACC championship game, but they've not beat a top 5 team since beating West Virginia in 06. And those are some special West Virginia teams, let me just say, too. That's some of your, as far as like watching, I think that might have been like, I might be wrong, I might be off the Tavon Austin days and stuff.
Best highlight reel of all time.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Pat White, Pat White, and maybe even like Steve Slate and Noel Devine. I mean, it was
the great Pat McAfee was president.
Yeah, was he on that team?
Yeah.
Was that a Geno team?
Awesome.
Oh yeah, was he with Geno or he Pat White? Which one was he?
I can't remember. I'd have to look it up
split.
and see. Yeah,
it was
great team. Really a shame that they didn't go win a title or anything with all the playmakers. But anyway, the Cardinals have lost 6 straight against top 5 teams, and overall they're 4-16. So they're looking to make some history, changing some things there. But I'm in agreement with you guys. Louisville's like such a weird team this year. They have some games that they look pretty darn good in. But then, like that Pittsburgh game was kind of off to me. But Florida State, in a way, and I'm going to get into this a little bit when we get to the Michigan game, but when you have a good team like that, you don't want them to get complacent.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you can find something that's a motivating factor and you can rally around that. The fact that they lost Travis does suck, but to hear that you don't deserve to be in the playoffs without him is something you can rally around as a team. And I think you're really going to see it Saturday. I think they might win. I'm going to give it about 28-14 Florida State. I think their defense is really going to show up.
Somebody needs to remind their coach of how good they are at running the ball. And they really only need that guy to hand it off. Like obviously, Travis is great, but like they really probably could just line up and run it and every time if I really want to. I mean, it's it's crazy to think, but with it knowing it because it is a high level college game. But if they really wanted to and just commit to it, although like it'd be low scoring and boring, but they probably could just get 3 or 4 yards at a time.
And 2 yards in a cloud of dust.
Yeah.
Well, you also got 2 stars at receiver, Johnny Wilson and Keon Coleman, and so it's kind of like I agree, but you also want to get like them the ball as much as possible. Which you can do that in other ways, screens or sweeps or whatever. But those are 2 of the best receivers in the country, especially Keon. But
Louisville did beat like a number 10 Notre Dame team.
Yeah, and that, I mean that's what I'm saying. Like some weeks they look great. Which I think it was at home, and I mean which Louisville at home this year has been very dangerous. That Pittsburgh game just confuses me. I mean it's just one that I don't know.
Well, Florida State struggled with Pitt this year too.
Yeah,
It's just one of those teams for the ACC.
Yeah.
For all ACC matchups, like Pittsburgh's always just got a dog in that fight. It's like teams play down to them.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Which the past few years they've had some really good teams. They've been in the ACC championship.
Yeah, I think Florida State's was at Pitt in a monsoon with like 25-mile-an-hour winds. So that's kind of a different story. I don't know what Louisville's story was, but still, it was a struggle for them.
Yeah. So the last one, and the line. This is the biggest line that we've seen. Well, on the spread, maybe not the over under, but Michigan, second ranked Michigan versus 16th ranked Iowa, Big Ten championship. 8:00 on Fox. Michigan's in a situation, you win, you get in. Right now, Michigan is favored by 22 points. The over-under is 34.5, which is a fun note on this. I saw the other day that the per half line for Iowa was I think it was like a half a point. So pretty much like the line is if they score or they don't score. But that's it. So I was definitely not been an offensive juggernaut by no means, but defensively they have been. I mean, obviously they're where they're at right now because of their defense. So what do you think about this game, Connor?
Michigan. This is a lock.
Yeah.
This is one of those games that you can look at and just say Michigan. That's a lock. You can take Michigan in this one and feel pretty confident about yourself too. But I'm saying this, and then watch Iowa pull off an upset of the century.
Man, yeah, the coach from Iowa, he said, I don't know. I think it'd be kind of funny if we won. We'd screw everybody's plans. That's what he said. He said it'd be like a nice joke.
Yeah, I mean it's just one of those games where you're looking at a team with everything to lose, and you're looking at another team with nothing to lose.
That's right.
Yeah, I take Michigan. And I think they cover. Yeah, I'd hate to even guess the score on this game. So,
oh yeah, was really depending on if Iowa even scores once.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think Iowa's been having quarterback troubles too.
Yeah, when they lost Cade McNamara early or about midway through the season, and he was a guy that came from Michigan. He was the one that was in the quarterback battle last year, JJ McCarthy. So that was a big blow for them, which offensively they had already struggled anyway. So the backup quarterback did not help at all.
Now that Ohio State game, Michigan game was tight. I tell you what, that was a good one to watch. That was a real good one to watch. Big game. That pick late on that last drive, I could have swore Ohio State was going to close that game. But, you got McCord in it, Ohio State's quarterback, and he's been shaky all year, all season. In my opinion, Ohio State didn't even deserve to be up there with them, like with that quarterback. But now Marvin Harrison Jr. he's a dog. Like that kid's probably he's probably the best receiver in college football right now.
Yeah, and they, like you said, they stars all over the field. It's just quarterback position, and I don't even know McCord's like a bad quarterback. It's just when you have that much talent around you, you expect them to really put up numbers, and you imagine C.J. Stroud or even Justin Fields with those weapons. I mean, Stroud did have
scary.
Most of those weapons, yeah. But if Ohio State's defense last year would have been playing like they are this year, Stroud probably would have had a championship ring. So
I can agree with that. Like I wouldn't even consider that to be a hot take. Like I definitely agree with that one.
Yeah,
their defense has been keeping them in the ball games, and like for example, like Ohio State struggles with like an unranked Michigan. I mean, granted he's playing against Tagovailoa's younger brother, but it's still like or not Michigan, but unranked Maryland.
Maryland.
Yeah, Maryland.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean I agree, and which I mean, ironically, I think that Tua's brother there, that quarterback from Maryland, I think he's one of the top passers ever in Big Ten history, which is just kind of quietly flew under the radar. So, Jay Moore, who do you have in this one right here?
Well, I think this could be Michigan's toughest whatever game to prepare for yet, because the lack of Iowa's offense being on the field, they don't have that tape that they have on everybody else to film, so they've not been able to spy on them as much as they have everybody else, because you're not seeing Iowa's offense, so they really don't know what to prepare for. So I don't know that Iowa's defense can outscore Michigan though, so I'm gonna go with the Wolverines. 30. I don't know about 30. Iowa does have a good defense, so they'll cover, I think.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, Iowa could surprise somebody, but that is definitely possible. If they happen,
they could surprise somebody and score.
Yeah,
that's what's going to be surprised if they actually score.
I'm definitely I'm definitely working my way back around to saying Michigan's going to win. But I'll say this: that if they did win, if they did pull off the upset of the century, this would be the biggest upset in conference championship history. The 23 points or 22 points, whatever, is the biggest line in conference championship history. So, and the previous mark was back in '96 with a third-ranked Nebraska was a 20-point favorite, 20.5-point favorite over a Texas squad that was 7-4, and Texas won that game. So, yeah, they'd have a chance to make history for sure. But I'm all on board with Michigan. I said at the beginning of the year before the season started that was my pick to win the championship. I'm not sure if that pick has an asterisk beside of it with the other stuff yet. That's another debate for another day. But Blake Corum is playing great. He's 2 touchdowns away right now from having 55. He's up there near the top of Michigan record book as far as rushing touchdowns. And they got 2 good backs there. But the defense has been playing great. You already touched on it with the Ohio State game last week. So I think they're definitely going to roll into this game, still feeling pretty good after that. I have Michigan winning, and I have them covering as well. I have them getting the 22 points. But I think that Michigan, a lot like I said with Florida State, when you give a team like that's that good, some extra motivation, especially right here in the home stretch, like that's dangerous. And they have that mentality. It's Michigan against the world. And they're going to ride that all the way into the championship game, I think. That's just my way early prediction. And I think this is the first game Coach Harbaugh is going to be back, if I'm not mistaken. Because I think he got suspended for the 3 regular season games. And I think he's supposed to be back this week. So they're going to be really pumped up for that.
Do you think losing that starting lineman will have a big impact in the playoff when they get there? Enough to where they could cause them to lose, or you think they'll? I don't know anything about their backups. Obviously, like can you plug somebody in and keep rolling? But
they did the other day, but
yeah, but I mean against Georgia or somebody defense that that could come into play later on when you get to the playoff. But
I would argue that Michigan played their biggest test already as far as defense goes, because I think Ohio State's defense is better than any of those teams in the what we think will be in the college Final Four.
I agree with that. I think Ohio State had the best defense in the country.
Yeah, they've been playing out of their mind. So for Michigan to put up the numbers they did against them, I think that speaks volumes. I think that just really changed everything as far as the way people looked at Michigan, which I was high on them earlier in the year, but I do agree with even Rusty's take on an earlier episode that they hadn't really played anybody, but now they got the evidence is out there. Yeah. So I mean that's heck of a weekend we have coming up with college football. Something I do want to touch on before we get done with the college football stuff, Connor. I want to because we already made our predictions who we think's going to win it. So just real quick, who do you think's going to make it into that Final Four, and who you think's going to take it?
Well, with my Alabama prediction, that definitely shakes things up. I think, and before I want to get into like my final four, I'd say like of all these, these four big games we talked about, I think one of them loses. You know what I mean? I think one of the favorites loses.
Yeah.
I think it's one of them things that's just too predictable to pick, only favorites to win out. And then, you have that set college football playoff already in line this week is going to be the same. You know what I mean? So I think with Alabama's history of making it to the playoff, like I hate to even talk about them, making it to up there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I think Bama beats Georgia. Georgia falls out of it.
Yeah.
I think Florida State might sneak in there at the 4 and stay. And I think, or maybe Oregon. Gosh, I don't know, man. It shakes things up so much if Alabama wins. It just there's so many possibilities. It's like who beat who, and
I for sure think if Oregon wins, I think they're in.
In my opinion, Oregon has probably like one of the best teams in the nation. Like I feel like Oregon deserves to be in the college football playoff. So I don't know. I'll just like without running numbers or anything like that, I'd say Oregon winning this weekend. I think Oregon puts them in at 4, but then you got to think about where you put Florida State if Florida State wins. Does Florida State go up to 3? And Michigan taking the number 1 spot, and then who's going to take that 2 spot? Like
if Bama wins, I think. Yeah, I think you have. I don't think you can put out the SEC champ.
Mm-hmm. No, I don't think so.
Which I mean, which that's all. I mean, that's going to come down to the debate between them and Texas if that happens. But I think you'd have to have them.
Mm-hmm.
You think who you taking to win it all?
I take Oregon, but I'm obviously a homer here with Oregon.
But it's a valid. I mean, it's a good prediction though. I mean, because like you said, they are playing great right now. So
yeah, I'll take Oregon. Win the national championship this year. Just on some off chance odds, I like to roll the dice on that kind of stuff. So I'll just take Oregon on that.
Real quick before you get off here, Heisman, who you got? Bo Nix. I kind of figured that was the path we were going there.
Oh yeah.
So I want to thank Connor for getting on here, and I mentioned it before you got on a little bit. You playing and stuff overseas, and but we are going to try to here soon have a full episode on his journey, and same thing we do with every guest episode about how he got into the sport and through his high school days and even, of course, I think with you, I really want to hear, and I have heard some of the stuff, but I think I want everybody to hear some of the overseas football stuff, and we'll get into all of that. So I really want to have a full episode just talking about your life too. But I definitely did not want to miss out on an opportunity to have you on and talk some college football.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate y'all having me.
Yeah. Well, what we're going to do is I'm going to send Connor off here, and we'll finish it up, just finish stuff. And Connor, I'll send the stuff to you here soon. I usually stay up and try to edit post-show, so we'll see how long I last, because getting heavy-eyed now. But man, I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good one.
Thanks, man.
All right, see you, buddy. So before we get off here real quick, we'll tell y'all our top 5 songs of the week on Porch Talk, and you got your throwback, J. Moore? Yep. If you want to go ahead and just throw out your throwback while I get stuff on here for the other.
My throwback this week is in honor of tonight's Thursday night football game, NFL football game. And it's Mamas Don't Let Your Babies Grow Up to Be Cowboys. And
Oh, man, I
so
love that.
So I'm going to add,
Yeah.
Don't let your babies grow up to be Cowboy fans, because I think that's responsible parenting. Don't let your kids be Cowboy fans. It feels like a right thing to do. But this song was it was first recorded by Ed Bruce and written by him and his wife Patsy Bruce. 1976, I think, 1975. I didn't know that about this song. Obviously, it's the most famous for Waylon Jennings and Willie Nelson's version of it. That they released it in '78. It's a few years later, but I think it got as high as like 15th in the charts with the original writers doing it. I'm not sure how. I guess it probably got higher with Willie and Waylon, but yeah, that's in honor of the Cowboys, and you shouldn't let your kids be Cowboys fans. That's my throwback for this week.
I like it. And that song's already like sitting here stuck in my head playing.
And speaking of that, they're down 35-27 right now in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I just had a notification a few minutes ago that it was a close game.
Yeah, and DK Metcalf is going off in fantasy. Yeah. So,
just a little side note, Travarius Ward locked him down again last week. So just throwing that out there.
I mean, I don't know about all that, but he has 37 points right now in fantasy.
Yeah, I don't even think he had
7 minutes left in the fourth quarter, I think. So
yeah, I mean, obviously I'm a
35-30 now. I lied about the score. It's 35-30. I'm not caught up on TV, but yeah.
Obviously everybody knows I'm a Niners fan, so I definitely had to throw that out there. Yeah, last week Metcalf had only 3 catches and 30 yards. So against Travarius Ward.
How many catches did he have last week?
3.
Well, he only had 6 catches tonight, so really
they're just big catches.
134 yards, 3 touchdowns to go along with it. So
yeah. So in the spirit of country music, so we're sitting here talking about it. Your Porch Talks top 5 new country songs of the week. So number 5 is In Color, which is, we all have heard that song before by Jamie Johnson. But it is In Color by Jamie Johnson, live at a benefit concert. Number 4 is Time Machines, Ivy and Sophia's version by Walker County. Number 3 is I'm on Fire by Ian Munzik. Number 2 is Marlboros by Jared Morse. And number 1 song on your Porch Talks top 5 new country songs of the week is In the Concrete, the acoustic version by Grandin Wyatt. So touch on this a little bit. Well, I'll get to the top song right here in a second because I got some stuff I want to talk about on it. But In Color, I know it's not necessarily a new song, but it was on the new set list for this week in a lot of places.
So you
and it was
used it.
Well, I mean, to be completely honest with you, I don't want to say that it was a slow week for new music because I think these are 5 really good songs. But I do think that I wanted to fit it in, and it's a live version of it, so it does sound a little different. But I love that song so much, and it gave me an opportunity to talk about it. And I know that you can talk about it as well. We saw him in concert. That song means so much to me. It reminds me of my grandpa. That he fought overseas in the Korean War with my great grandpa, and I remember sitting in his house as a kid. And he was showing me photos of old war buddies and stuff. And in the song, he talks about a buddy he had in war, and and even then, he even talked to me about how my great grandma, how she was home with my grandpa and my great uncle at the time. His 2 kids. My great grandma was home with them. And so, to hear some things in that song, some things that he mentions, it brings me back to my childhood with my great grandpa. So that very special song to me. What I mean, I know you're a fan of that song. Does it mean anything to you?
I mean, I don't. I think I had some family that served, but like as far as close family, no, I don't have the stories about stuff like that. But I mean, just anything Jamie Johnson's good. I think he's one of the most underrated artists. I don't think he gets enough credit for how good he is, songwriting and singing. But that song in general is just so well written, and just throwback to the times. Kind of that saying, "Tough times make strong people, strong men, whatever. Strong men make weak times." That was a hard time. It's not about the depression and all that stuff that they went, that generation went through. It kind of sums it up perfect. I mean, it just all ties in together, but it's a great song.
Sure. I'm not going to touch on 4 through 2, even though I really like Marlboros by Jared Morris. I think that is a great song. It gets stuck in my head quite a bit. But I want to touch on the top song of the week because I know this guy. I'm real close with him. He's a local artist, so some people might say, "Well, you took the cheap way out because you went with somebody that you know." Well, I think that the work he's putting into this song and the storytelling in it, I really like, and I think that going forward, I would like to have him on my list even more. I'm not saying he'll always be one, but I think that this week I thought it was fitting. So just a little bit, just the song itself. It's a true story about a man that lost everything, all of a sudden in the blink of an eye, and which has happened to people. I mean, I'm sure in some ways have happened to us in certain aspects, but instead, like has happened with a lot of people, addiction took over, and next thing you know, he's in a situation where, he's in jail or whatever, and he's faced with a lot of dark moments, a lot of hard times, and in that moment, he turned to God, and this song is kind of like his testimony in a way. And so, I mean, it's like I said, it's a great storytelling song. I think it reminds me of like some old, maybe not quite the same like guitar tone, but like some old Johnny Cash type songs as far as the way that the storytelling is, especially being in a jail prison type setting with the song. Definitely check that out if you hadn't already. That's his first single, and I've heard a lot of his other songs, and he's so meticulous in the way that he works on songs and the storytelling and stuff like that, and he really tries to have meaning to his songs. It's not just, I mean, I like all the old country stereotypical songs, the going to the bar and sing about heartbreak and stuff. I mean, those are good songs too, but he really takes time to make his songs a little bit more than that. I did want to mention on here because since we're talking about him, and I put this on our Facebook page and our Instagram as well, just so those of you that don't know him, just a little backstory. He's a local artist. Like I say, he grew up in the hills of West Virginia, where he fell in love with the music. And as a young man, he would travel with his evangelist grandfather, and he would open services with praise and worship. So he got started in the church, and kind of getting his foot wet there, singing and stuff, and playing music. And in 09, he stopped performing. He lost his grandfather, and I don't want to get too much into this stuff because it is kind of personal, but because I hope that he's one of them that I have lined up that we want on, and his story is definitely one that is worth having a full episode on. But he started working in the coal mines then, and started working and not really focusing on the music too much. It was more just in the privacy of his own home, and he was exploring different genres of music, country, and he can also rap and stuff like that, which is an odd combination sometimes. But 2017, he got laid off from the coal mines. He took a more stable job in corrections, But as time passed, he still thought of those lessons and stuff his grandfather had instilled in him. And even in rock bottom, he turned to God and would pray and stuff like that. And this is starting to become the pattern of him getting to where he is now in 2022, while continuing to pursue his passion for different styles of music. He returned to his roots and now performs under the stage name as Brandon Wyatt with country music. So writing songs based on the stories he's heard and stories he's had in his own life. Like I said, you just have to go and listen to his music, and I'll let him explain further as far as his personal life and all that. But great storyteller. Very excited for what he has to bring in the next little bit. I think he's working on an LP, EP, whatever it's called. And we'll definitely put that out there for you guys. So again, Brandon Wyatt, check him out on Spotify, and I think he may have some of his socials set up with Instagram and stuff. But if not, definitely go check him out on Spotify. The link's on their Facebook. So, Jamar, another great episode, man. Had a lot in this one. Great interview. Really enjoyed Connor coming on and helping us with the college football. Had a little bit of a monologue for me there for a minute while you was out.
Yeah, I meant to go out while he was coming on, and you were kind of, talking about him a little bit. So it was
yeah, well,
I felt like it was a good time for me to do it while you had somebody. Yeah. I didn't mean to leave you hanging because I ended up beating him back.
That's all right.
That's my bad. If I'd known it was going to be that long, I would have waited.
Yeah, I might have been on life support for a second, but we made it. So. Yeah, I'm just kidding. We're good. Yeah, I mean, like I said, we were great. I mean, I really took a moment, and I'll touch on it right now as we're getting off, to just thank everybody for the support we've got, and not only that, but to really promote these special guest episodes. Like, I definitely go and check them out, and the interviews and stuff as well. We're just two guys that love sports. We love high school sports, college, professional, and we're lucky enough that anybody wants to listen to us. But I think me and you both probably agree that the people we have on are probably, I think that's what kind of, in my opinion, definitely makes the episodes even more entertaining. So I'm very thankful for them coming on. And then for those of you that are just now listening to us, definitely go and check out those episodes. And also going forward, if you have anybody that wants to be like a sponsor, we already have two. We got one that we're working on. We're going to continue to be doing player interviews, and we're going to have musicians on, other guests in this area. So definitely something that if you're interested in that, get up with us, and we'll try to work on something. As an intro, try to get y'all on here. So, anything for you more?
Yeah, I'm just looking forward to high school basketball starting up here.
Yeah.
Kind of getting a grasp on who's going to be the favorites maybe around here. Looking forward to diving into it on here and talking about it and trying to have some players on again. College basketball, obviously, Heels got a big win last night. Had to rep them tonight, but it's going to be a very interesting year in the college basketball. I think there's no. I don't think you have a outright clear cut number one favorite right now. I think there's 4 or 5 teams you could throw up there on tier one, and then maybe more than that. Then you have another tier, but I don't think you have there's no one team I can put my finger on and say that team's probably going to win it for sure, or has the biggest, be a biggest favorite. I think there's several really good teams, so be a good year for it. But I'm looking forward to getting into it more on here. If you see us out, say hi. Had a guy holler at me at the ball game last week. Talked to him for a few minutes. It was pretty cool. He recognized me because of my hat, the Colts hat, I think is what he said. So that was cool. So if you see us out and about, give us a holler. If you would be interested in a T-shirt and buying T-shirts or any kind of apparel from us, give us a holler. I don't know that we would do that on like a big scale yet, because I don't know if anybody even really have any interest in having a shirt. So any feedback you can give us on if you like one or not would help us decide whether to try to get some made, to sell. Other than that, just good luck to Graham and Honaker this weekend. All the hunters out there. Again, I guess I don't know if nobody listens that hunts or hasn't killed anything. If anybody listens not killed nothing yet, but seeing this your pictures, your bucks in, whatever, we'll put them up. But yeah, we appreciate it, and I gotta go to bed.
Yeah, and on that note,
and we didn't. I'll let you get by with not talking about it, but
no, about what?
We ain't got time. I'm going to bed, but I wanted to get your comments on.
Don't worry.
On the Tech Virginia Tech game or Virginia Tech and Virginia game.
Yeah, not important.
But I really wanted to deep dive into it and really spend a lot of time on it. But
definitely not interested in diving into that.
Since I got to go to bed, I'll let you off the hook tonight. But
yeah. Hey, in the spirit of your hunting note, good luck to Logan on his buck that he's going to get here soon.
Man, I was with him that day.
I don't want to make him hate that. I don't want to make him hate the show, man. I don't want to bring up bad memories.
He's probably already turned it off at this point. He probably thought we were done after we started this last 5 minutes. But
yeah.
I've been with him when he's got in the woods turkey hunting and deer hunting. When he's gotten really unlucky. Let's just put it that way. Nothing he's done wrong necessarily. Just completely dumb, bad luck. And Saturday or Friday was one of the worst ones.
Well, it's going to change. We got faith in him.
Yeah, I really hope he can get back on that and on that deer and at least get a shot at it, because the man walks way too much not to deserve at least a shot at this deer. Like yeah. So hopefully his luck turns around, and because I don't know how much. Like I said, it's just bad luck. It really is. It's just bad luck. So hopefully we'll get that figured out. But
good luck to Graham. Good luck to Honaker. Good luck to Logan Cantrell.
I really hope they both win. I really want to go watch both of those next week.
Yeah.
And I really want to get a call from Logan Saturday or Friday or sometime telling me he got that deer. But we'll see how it goes. So
we'll see.
All right, man. You have a good one.
Dude, thank you guys for watching. Till next time. God bless.